When football fans argue about the greatest quarterbacks ever, Peyton Manning's name always comes up. His legendary audible calling at the line of scrimmage changed the game, yet his playoff record stands at 14-13 compared to Tom Brady's 35-13 and 7 Super Bowl rings. What makes Manning's case for football immortality so compelling, despite postseason disappointments? In this documentary, we're analyzing what the numbers really tell us about the Sheriff of Indianapolis. We'll break down how Manning revolutionized the quarterback position with his pre-snap adjustments and whether his 5 MVP awards, the most in NFL history, truly reflects his football legacy compared to his contemporaries. Manning's collection of individual accolades reveals unparalleled regular season excellence. His 5 NFL MVP awards stand alone in league history, 2 more than Tom Brady's 3 and 3 more than Favre and Rodgers. During his 18-year career, he earned 14 Pro Bowl selections and 7 first-team All-Pro honors. These achievements directly reflect his statistical dominance and establish him as the regular season's most decorated quarterback to ever play the game. The statistical evidence supporting Manning's case is overwhelming. He concluded his career with 71,940 passing yards and 539 touchdown passes. Both were NFL records when he retired, while maintaining a remarkable 65.3% completion rate and 7.7 yards per attempt. These numbers showcase not just volume, but exceptional efficiency during an era of increasingly complex defensive schemes. Manning's brilliance manifested most visibly before the snap. His pre-snap routine became legendary. The calculated gesticulations, the iconic Omaha calls, the precise adjustments that frequently left defenses confused and disorganized. Like a chess grandmaster anticipating moves, Manning would identify defensive weaknesses and adjust accordingly. What appeared chaotic to casual viewers was actually a quarterback operating with unmatched football intelligence. This revolutionary approach transformed NFL offenses. Before Manning, quarterbacks typically executed coordinator-called plays. After Manning, elite signal callers were expected to diagnose defenses and make pre-snap adjustments. He functioned simultaneously as offensive coordinator and quarterback, a combination that frustrated defensive coordinators for nearly 2 decades. What's particularly remarkable about Manning's regular season dominance is how he elevated 2 entirely different franchises. With Indianapolis from 1998 to 2011, he transformed a struggling organization into a perennial contender with 11 playoff appearances and a Super Bowl victory. After career-threatening neck surgery,
put up in the pocket, and then Andre Carter and Philip Daniels, and that's the hit there, Philip Daniels.
Manning then elevated Denver's offense to historic levels, culminating in another Super Bowl appearance. His 2013 Denver season stands as perhaps the greatest individual quarterback campaign ever. Manning obliterated records with 55 touchdown passes and 5,477 yards, orchestrating the league's highest scoring offense to that point with 606 points. At 37, when physical decline typically sets in, Manning produced his statistical masterpiece, his football intelligence compensating for diminishing physical tools. The contrast between Manning's regular season excellence and his 14-13 playoff record creates tension in evaluating his legacy. His impressive 702 regular season winning percentage with 186 wins and 79 losses often gets overshadowed by postseason shortcomings. This discrepancy invites deeper examination of the playoff choker narrative that has followed Manning throughout his whole career and into retirement. What separated Manning from other elite quarterbacks wasn't extraordinary physical gifts. His arm strength was good, but never exceptional, and he certainly wasn't known for mobility. Rather, his unprecedented ability to process defensive structures and make perfect adjustments made him special. Manning operated as an on-field coach, analyzing information at remarkable speed to identify defensive vulnerabilities before the play even began. This mental mastery allowed him to overcome physical limitations and consistently put his team in the optimal position to succeed. The pre-snap brilliance worked wonders across 17 regular season weeks, but the playoffs tell a different story. Or do they? Manning's 14-13 playoff record stands in stark contrast to his 186-79 regular season dominance, but the numbers behind those losses reveal a truth about postseason football that most fans never consider. Let's address the elephant in the room, those 9 one-and-done playoff exits. No quarterback with Manning's regular season credentials has experienced such a playoff drop-off. However, let's take a look at what the actual statistics tell us. Manning's playoff passer rating of 87.4 sits remarkably close to Brady's 89.8. This single comparison challenges the playoff choker label that's followed him since retirement. The competitive landscape Manning faced explains much of this discrepancy. Throughout his playoff career, Manning consistently squared off against higher-ranked defenses than his contemporaries, while Brady often benefited from more favorable defensive matchups. The mental advantages that dismantled average defenses in October became less effective against defensive coordinators with weeks to prepare for Manning's tendencies. The disparity extended beyond opposing defenses. Manning's supporting cast, particularly his offensive line, typically ranked lower than Brady's during crucial playoff runs. With defensive pressure arriving faster and coverage schemes specifically designed to disrupt timing, Manning operated with a dramatically smaller margin for error in postseason play. Manning's individual performances often contradicted the choker narrative. Take the 2013 AFC Championship against New England, 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. These aren't the numbers of a quarterback crumbling under pressure. Yet, those individual efforts sometimes couldn't overcome complete team deficits. The playoff paradox cuts both ways. While Manning sometimes lost despite playing well, he occasionally won despite struggling. In the 2006 AFC Championship game, the same game that helped shed his "can't win the big one" label, Manning threw 4 picks. Yet his team still found a way to victory. This watershed moment saw Manning engineer a 21-point comeback against the Patriots, demonstrating he could deliver when everything was on the line. Context matters tremendously in playoff evaluation. Football remains the ultimate team sport, with 53 players and dozens of coaches influencing each outcome. The simplified narrative that Manning couldn't get it done in January ignores the complex reality of NFL playoff football, where single elimination formats magnify both luck and circumstance. The evidence suggests Manning wasn't a choker, but rather a quarterback whose margin for error diminished significantly against elite competition. When facing the league's best defenses with less support than some contemporaries, the gap between Manning's cerebral advantages and his physical limitations became more pronounced. His pre-snap reads yielded diminishing returns against coordinators who had studied his tendencies for weeks. What separates great quarterbacks isn't always what happens in perfect conditions, but how they perform when everything breaks down. Manning's playoff record reveals as much about the team sport of football as it does about him personally. His cerebral approach revolutionized offensive football, but even the greatest minds meet their limits against equally prepared opponents. Manning's pre-snap adjustments weren't just a strategic advantage, they were the beginning of a quarterback revolution. Before he stepped onto an NFL field, quarterbacking primarily valued physical attributes, arm strength, mobility, raw athleticism. Manning flipped this equation completely. His pre-snap ballet, the pointing, the shouting, the frantic gesturing, transformed the position from athlete to on-field coach. That transformation created a blueprint that's now the standard for every quarterback who walks to the line of scrimmage. Manning revolutionized the position by forcing the NFL to reimagine a quarterback's primary job. When he arrived in Indianapolis in 1998, offensive coordinators maintained tight control over play calling. By the time Manning reached his prime, he had fundamentally altered this power structure. Offenses across the league began granting their quarterbacks unprecedented autonomy at the line, directly responding to Manning's success with this approach. His legendary audible system became so effective that it forced defensive coordinators to completely rethink their strategies. Defenses accustomed to dictating matchups suddenly found themselves reacting to Manning. They would start showing one coverage only to quickly shift to another as Manning diagnosed their initial alignment, like a master tactician who reconfigured the rules of engagement mid-battle. This chess match often ended with defenders looking confused, while Manning exploited the weakness he had already identified. Manning elevated the audible from occasional adjustment to primary offensive weapon. His ability to transform potential disasters into substantial gains happened with such regularity that it changed coaching philosophies league-wide. Defensive coordinators had to simplify their calls, knowing complex disguises would likely be decoded. Offensive coordinators accepted a new paradigm where quarterback control actually improved their effectiveness. Early in his career, Manning relied on his solid arm strength to complement his mental game. But after his neck surgeries, we saw a dramatic shift. In a 2006 game against New England, Manning might unleash a deep pass after recognizing single coverage. However, by 2015 with Denver, the same defensive look would trigger a quick slant route, using anticipation rather than power. His mental acuity sharpened as his physical tools declined. While many quarterbacks' careers end when arm strength diminishes, Manning adapted through quick release and anticipation throws. He diagnosed defenses faster, got the ball out quicker, and placed it precisely where receivers would be, extending his elite play beyond what seemed possible. The Manning approach created ripple effects throughout the league that continue today. Watch Patrick Mahomes at the line of scrimmage, making adjustments after reading safety alignments. Listen to Joe Burrow break down coverage schemes in press conferences. These quarterbacks, who possess physical talents Manning never had, incorporate his mental methodology as a fundamental aspect of their game. Their combination of Manning's cerebral approach with superior athleticism has elevated quarterback play to unprecedented heights. Even the NFL draft evaluation process has transformed in Manning's wake. While arm strength still matters, teams now place premium value on a quarterback's ability to process information quickly and function as an extension of the coaching staff. Prospects spend hours at the whiteboard demonstrating their football IQ, a direct legacy of Manning's influence. This evolution represents Manning's most significant contribution to football. While records eventually fall, Manning's redefinition of quarterback play has permanently altered the sport's DNA. He established that the most important quarterback attribute isn't found in physical measurements, but in the space between the ears. Perhaps most telling is how quarterbacks now prepare. The intensive film study, the meticulous attention to defensive tendencies, and the obsessive preparation that once made Manning unique are now baseline expectations for any quarterback hoping to succeed at the highest level. The standard preparation has been elevated because Manning showed just how devastating proper preparation could be. When football historians examine Manning's career, they'll see a quarterback who redefined the position. His legacy isn't measured by Super Bowl rings, but by how he fundamentally altered quarterback evaluation, with coaches now prioritizing mental processing and pre-snap intelligence over physical tools. Manning's blueprint engineered a transformation of the modern NFL, visible in how quarterbacks now diagnose defenses and adjust plays. This evolution represents his true greatness. He changed the system itself. While the greatest of all time debates continue, Manning's contribution transcends these arguments. His new paradigm for quarterback excellence continues shaping the position years after his retirement. As championships fade into history, what endures more? The rings or the revolution that forever changed how we understand football's most important position? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.